Hello everyone, in this video we will be seeing part 5 of What If Deku Was in the DC Universe. So be sure to stick around until the end. Let's get started. The Teen Titans had faced a wide variety of supervillains in their time as a team, but this might be their toughest challenge yet. The team was currently fighting against a large metallic humanoid robot. He wore a set of torn pants and a half-melted human mask on its face, but in its chest was the biggest thing that caught people's attention. There was a large green chunk of kryptonite in its chest. "You brats think you can beat me?" asked the humanoid robot. "I'm Metallo. I can take on Superman any day of the week," he said before throwing a large chunk of road at the team. Deku kicked the chunk of rock, protecting his teammates, allowing Diana and Zatanna to attack. Zatanna wrapped the humanoid robot in magical binds, and then Diana punched Metallo in his face, sending him back. Diana sadly knelt down tearfully, using her sword for support. The Titans were all panting after a long battle, but none was more weary than Supergirl. Having a large robot using her one weakness as a battery was really not making her day. "That all you've got?" asked Metallo, ready to fight. "Not even close," Deku replied, charging up one for all once more, standing between Metallo and the rest of his team. "Yeah, you heard him, chump," said Supergirl, getting up, standing next to Deku. "We're just getting started," she said before they both charged at top speeds at the vicious robot. Metallo charged at the two heroes before firing a kryptonite-based laser from his chest. Izuku grabbed hold of one of the wrecked cars and flung it at the beam, giving them an extra second to execute their plan. Deku then grabbed hold of Supergirl and jumped high into the air before it struck them. Supergirl took it from there as she flew directly at Metallo. Deku and Supergirl spun in the air, raising their right legs high in the air. Metallo tried to fire another shot, but the heroes had cut him off before he could do anything else. "Manchester! Smash!" yelled both Deku and Supergirl as they slammed their feet on top of the robot. A large green explosion covered the street and sent both Deku and Supergirl flying back. The dust slowly dissipated, and the rest of the Teen Titans began to slowly get back to their feet. But there was no cheer, for they needed to find their friends. "Where could they be?" asked Diana as she looked over almost every rock. "Over here!" Bumblebee called out, pointing to a slowly rising Deku. The team gathered around their friends. "Izuku," said Diana, hugging him, while thanking every god of the pantheon for his safety. "Thank the gods, you're all right." "I'm fine, but Kara needs some medical attention," said Izuku, pointing to Kara. The team took Kara to her home and set her on her bed. She had a wet towel on her head, and a couple of band-aids on her cheeks. Kara slowly opened her eyes to see her team, feeling a little dizzy. "What happened?" asked Kara hazily, rubbing her head. "You and Izuku defeated Metallo, but you took a heavy hit. But don't you worry, we brought you here and treated your injuries," said Diana. "There's no longer any kryptonite in your system according to my ring," said Jessica, showing an analysis construct. "But you should take it easy for a few days. We also made you some chicken soup to speed your recovery," said Karen, placing a bowl of hot soup on Kara's nightstand. "And if you need us, we are a call away," said Barbara, holding out her phone. "But for the moment, you'll be under the care of Nurse Izuku," said Zatanna, pushing Izuku forwards, causing Kara to blush. "Why can't you guys be my nurses?" asked Kara, looking away from Izuku. "Because we're still on duty. Plus Izuku said that it was his plan that put you here, so he thought he should take responsibility," Zatanna said, while Izuku looked down in shame. "Again, I'm sorry," said Izuku while bowing his head, although Kara and the rest of the team thought it was adorable. "We'll leave you to get comfortable," said Zatanna before pushing the rest of the girls out, leaving only Izuku and Kara inside. "Play nice, you two." Once the girls left, an awkward silence took over the room. Neither Kara nor Izuku looked each other in the eyes. It was clear that they had tension between each other, and Kara was damn sure it wasn't just from the botched-up plan. Ever since that night that they shared that kiss, she's felt like exploding as soon as they were stuck together alone. Kara," said Izuku, getting her out of her thoughts. "What?" Kara quickly replied, holding up the sheets to cover her face. "Would you like the soup now or later?" asked Izuku, pointing to the bowl of chicken soup. Kara slowly turned her eyes towards the soup. "Yeah, I'll have that now, thank you," said Kara, reaching for the bowl herself, but as soon as she reached for it, she winced in pain. "Here, let me," said Izuku, grabbing the bowl from the counter and got closer to Kara. He grabbed the spoon and drew it closer to the blonde. Kara blushed slightly before she opened her mouth and took a sip. She didn't savor much of the soup given her situation. She hated feeling like this, weak and helpless. But in a strange way she tolerated it because she was with Izuku. Kara kept quiet while she ate the soup that Karen had made for her. Izuku could notice that she wasn't enjoying this one bit. He knew that she didn't want any form of pity from him or anyone else. He understood the feeling. "Listen, Kara, if you need anything you just tell me," said Izuku, causing her to blush. "You don't need to feel embarrassed." "I will, but not because I want to," said Kara, keeping eye contact to a minimum. "Thanks." Izuku removed the wet towel from Kara's head and took the empty bowl of soup and exited the room. Once Izuku had left, Kara dropped down on her bed, blushing up a storm. She covered her face with the sheet as her mind rushed with embarrassing thoughts. "Why? Damn it, why?" asked Kara to herself, wanting nothing but to crawl inside a hole and not show her face ever again. "Why couldn't Diana be the one to take care of me? I'm not going to last 2 days like this, no matter how much I'd love to have Izuku at my beck and call," she said, realizing that this situation could work to her advantage. "Oh, this could be just what I wanted," Kara said with a sinister smile appearing on her face. The day had come and gone, and Kara had made life quite arduous for poor Izuku. She had made him give her a trip to the bathroom while being carried bridal style, hand-fed her anything she wanted, and, as an insult to injury, had him give her a massage. Poor Izuku nearly fainted when she showed him her toned legs. Kara felt like keep doing this for at least a week, but tonight she would set her plan into action. Her parents would be going out for dinner and she'd have all night to herself and Izuku. "Just call us if you need anything," said Mr. Danvers. "The dinner is in the kitchen and all you need is to reheat it," said Mrs. Danvers. "Don't worry, Mr. and Mrs. Danvers. I'll look after Kara in your absence," Izuku said before the host parents went on their way. Once the door was shut closed, Izuku heard something that he'd come to dread. "Oh, Izuku, would you please come up here?" Kara called from her room. Izuku slumped down before heading up to his and Kara's room. He wondered what kind of favor would she ask of him this time. He opened the door expecting Kara lounging in her bed, and he was right. But what happened next he wasn't expecting. Kara Danvers, the only person in the team that could match strength with Wonder Woman, laid half-naked her bed and only covered by the sheets of her bed. The only visible item of clothing he could see was her blue sports bra, which held her double D breasts in captivity. Izuku turned red like a tomato at the sight, barely able to register Kara's own blushing face. "Kara, what are you doing?" said Izuku as his mind went fast as a bullet. "You see, after the whole kryptonite incident, I talked to my cousin, and he said that the best way to go back to full strength is to, began Kara but couldn't help but feel a little embarrassed for her position. Screw with someone. "That makes no sense," Izuku replied before Kara pulled him into her. "You said you'd be at my beck and call, remember?" Kara asked seductively. "Besides, how do you know that my alien body won't do what I'm telling you?" Izuku couldn't talk at the moment, as his hand found itself pressed against a very warm and firm surface. Both Izuku and Kara looked down to see his hand groping her breast once more. Izuku expects a pummeling to come out of this, but instead Kara gives him a kiss on the lips. The kiss felt much warmer than the first one they shared, but something felt wrong. Izuku could feel that Kara was somehow forcing herself to put on a straight face for him. Izuku broke off the kiss with her to look at her in the eyes. He saw that she truly wanted this but couldn't help but feel embarrassed. So Izuku did the only thing that he thought he could do. Smile at her to reassure her. "Kara, are you sure about this?" asked Izuku, holding her hand in a comforting hold. "Yeah, I really want this," said Kara sheepishly before Izuku regained their lip connection. Kara could only feel Izuku taking charge, pushing her down to the bed. She enjoyed him treating her lovingly. She loved how he kissed her like a butterfly. It was light but they had much weight to it. Kara could feel how her body was warming up more and more, being aroused to the idea of Izuku making love to her. But a part of her really wanted to take charge. Her plan was to be the dominant one in this, but now she was putty in his hands. She had to gain the upper hand. "Let me take off your clothes, Greenie," said Kara weakly as every touch and kiss turned her to mush. Time skip. L down face first into the bed. They were both panting as it had been a marathon in both physical and emotional terms. Kara slowly moved her head to look at Izuku's face. "You're an amazing lover, Greenie," said Kara between pants. "Did you say you loved me?" asked Izuku. "I didn't know what I was saying half of the time," Kara lied. But if you ever need to scratch an itch, I'll gladly be your spooning buddy," she said before kissing him over her shoulder. The two young lovers laid like that, bathing in the afterglow and allowing the night to take them. The next day, Kara woke up and tried to stretch her arms and crack her neck, but found herself wrapped in Izuku's embrace. A smile appeared on her face before giving him a kiss on the forehead. She went to the bathroom and looked herself in the mirror. Kara began flexing her muscles and smiling to herself. "Oh yeah, let's see Diana beat last night," said Kara before lifting up her boobs. "I should probably use these girls next time," she said before blushing hard and smiling. "He called me cute, guess I do got it for him." Just then someone called from the other side of the door. "Kara, is everything all right in there?" Izuku asked. "I'm fine, Izuku," she called back before taking one last look in the mirror, never better actually. It had been an intense few days for Izuku. He had slept with two members of his team, and he was pretty sure that the two loved him. If they found out or heaven forbid got angry, he'd be dead meat. Although so far they hadn't done nothing to warrant Izuku to run. So for now, he'd have to settle for another normal day of high school. Izuku and the rest of the Teen Titans were walking through the halls when they heard a loud discussion coming from the school paper room. "What's going on there?" asked Izuku. "It's probably just Leslie, she's been hounding Lois to put her in charge of a gossip column for the school newspaper," said Jessica. "A gossip column?" asked Diana. "What is that?" "Oh, it's where a person puts stuff that people may be saying about something or another," explained Barbara, only confusing Diana a little more. "Basically, it's just empty words with no evidence whatsoever, or just repeating stuff that you hear others talking about," said Zatanna, like for instance. "I heard that Bruce Wayne is Batman because they were in the exact same place but at different times." "But isn't that like exposing people's secrets?" asked Diana. "Most of the things in a gossip column don't have evidence to substantiate what they are saying," said Karen. "Usually only desperate people read into stuff like that," said Kara. "Don't think too hard on it, Diana." "We should head to class anyway," Izuku said, cheering up Diana. "You heard Greenie. Let's go," Kara said, wrapping her arm around Izuku's, causing him to blush and for Diana to smile. "You're right, let us go now," said Diana, wrapping her own arm around Izuku's arm. The two girls lifted Izuku and began moving towards their class. The rest of the team believed it to be adorable and lovely before going to their own classes. However, there was one more soul looking into the exchange of the two young ladies. Leslie Williams, a punk rocker through and through. She wore a black leather jacket on top of a blue t-shirt, torn-up black pants, and black combat boots. All this adorned with chains and a blue mohawk hairstyle with half of her head shaved off. "Forget Lois Lane's fall, this is so much juicier," said Leslie with a sinister smile. She aimed her phone's camera directly at the three teammates and took a picture. She then began editing the photo until it was perfect for her fiendish plan. Sometime later, Izuku found himself walking through the halls to the cafeteria. As he walked by, he couldn't help but hear that people were whispering and looking at him almost as if he had done something. Just then, none other than Hal Jordan walked up to him. "Green bean, my man, high five," said Hal, lifting his hand. Izuku was a little confused as Hal had never taken such an interest in him. But thinking it wouldn't hurt, he gave him a high five. "Bro, you've got to tell me your secret," Hal said. "I mean, how did you do it? I have so many questions." "See you later." "That was weird," Izuku replied before resuming his walk. Just then a group of girls that belonged to the gymnastics team began looking at him from head to toe, all the while whispering about how normal he looked. Izuku just left them before he could hear what everything was about. However, just then he accidentally bumped with a massive guy from the football team, who looked mighty pissed. "Oh, I'm so sorry," said Izuku. The football player looked down to his phone and then back to Izuku. His face turned from anger to fear before running away from him. "What is going on here?" asked Izuku as the whispers continued. Just then, when Izuku arrived at the cafeteria, he was able to spot Zatanna, Barbara, Karen, and Jessica all gathered around looking at something. He made his way to the table hoping that they could give him some answers. "Hey guys, have you noticed everyone acting strange lately?" Izuku asked, causing them to turn and face him. "I think that it might have to do with this, darling," Zatanna said, showing Izuku her phone screen. Izuku's eyes widened to the size of dinner plates at the sight. The post showed him being held up by both Diana and Kara earlier today, and it read, "Three's not a crowd," surrounded by hearts and emojis. "But that is from this morning, nothing like that is happening, I swear," Izuku said, getting on his knees to plead his case. Yeah, we know, but everyone else doesn't think that way, said Jessica. What's happening? Diana asked as she and Kara joined the group. Izuku, of course, knowing the situation, jumped in fear. Geez, Greenie, where's the fire? Kara asked with a smirk. I swear it's not what it looks like, said Izuku before he started mumbling. Both Diana and Kara looked at each other in confusion before looking at the rest of the team. Zatanna showed them the post and that caused both of them to blush brightly. Who took this picture? Asked both girls, though it was clear Kara's tone was more angry than shocked. Someone by the screen named Livewire Shocker 299, Zatanna said. Then we'll just have to get her to clarify the situation, said Diana. Social networks don't work like that, Diana, Jessica said, hoping to calm the Amazon's actions. It could be anyone in this school or someone that was just passing. Best thing to do is ignore it and it'll just blow off, Karen suggested. Okay, said Kara. We must hold the higher ground in this endeavor. Please rise, Izuku. We do not blame you for this misunderstanding, Diana said, giving him a hand up. Thank you guys, said Izuku on the verge of tears. Unbeknownst to the team of superheroes, the mastermind behind the post had been taking other pictures and was smiling evilly to herself. You want the high ground? Then I'll just bring everyone down to my level, said Leslie before hitting the upload button. Izuku found himself in the library with Diana when many of the other students looked at her with some form of disdain about a post. He looked at the post they were all looking at and it showed him on his knees in the cafeteria and Diana holding out her hand. The post said, Trouble in Paradise, or is the princess into some kinky stuff? The green-haired hero grabbed his stuff and helped Diana as they left the library. Kara checked the post and immediately grew irritated. Izuku and Kara were walking to their next class. He drank from a water bottle and Kara went to the fountain for a sip. Leslie, of course, decided to make some sparks fly to make them more interesting. She sent a small jolt of electricity up to the water fountain, and just as Kara was about to take a drink, she was zapped, sending her flying towards Izuku. They collided and Izuku spat out his drink, wetting Kara's shirt. The picture was posted with the tag "Wet T-shirts baby." As soon as the post was shown to Diana, she began to feel angry and quite jealous herself. The next day, Izuku was rushing to get to class after shaking off Hal for the third time. Suddenly, an electric charge struck his clothes and sent him flying into the classroom, where he had history with both Diana and Karen. As soon as he entered the room, both Diana and Karen were electrically pulled towards Izuku, sticking them together with static. The new picture post said, He can't keep his hands to himself. This of course led to many of the girls at school to avoid Izuku, and for Kara to want to punch someone in the face. The gossip spread like wildfire, and both Diana and Kara were caught in the middle of it. They even went so far as to stick close to Izuku almost all hours of the day, much to the young man's displeasure. But much to the pleasure of the one behind the gossip. During lunch, both Diana and Kara stared at each other like a couple of street fighters ready to duke it out. They sat at either side of Izuku, almost crushing him. The two women didn't take their eyes off of each other. It was only a matter of time before a Wild West gunfight started, but thankfully Izuku intervened. Diana, Kara, please. You two need to stop this, said Izuku with little valor in his voice. Those pictures are only causing trouble. Not just for us, but everyone in the school. Aside from making a spectacle out of Izuku, Diana, and Kara's relationship, the user had posted other pictures of embarrassing moments for other students. Sadly, the story of the young exchange student being in a relationship with two beauties took precedence. Maybe if Diana knew how to keep her nose out of certain things, we wouldn't be in this mess, Kara suggested in a slightly threatening tone. Perhaps if Kara showed a little more dignity and restraint, then the misunderstanding would not have gone so far, Diana replied just as fiercely. Oh God, please help me, Izuku squeaked like a mouse between two tigresses. The rest of the team looked at the situation and were sure of one thing. They had to stop them before they killed someone. Girls, don't you two need to go to the mall later today? Asked Zatanna. Yes, yeah, replied Diana and Kara without taking their eyes off one another. Then why don't you two go together and take some time off from these nasty bits of gossip, Jessica suggested, understanding Zatanna's plan. Very well, said Diana. Sounds good to me, Kara said. And Izuku will go to keep you two from killing each other, Barbara added. What? Asked Izuku in pure shock. Good! Diana and Kara exclaimed, before lifting him up from his seat and dragging him there. Back with the rest of the team, they were divided on what could happen. Are you sure he's going to be all right? Karen asked. He is a lot tougher than he looks, they'll be fine, Zatanna replied, calming everyone else. Izuku walked in between Diana and Kara as they made their way to the mall. Sparks flew between the two girls as they glared at each other with a passion. They each tried to reach for the lead, but didn't, as to not leave Izuku behind with the other. Izuku for his part tried to keep them as calm as possible. They arrived at the mall and the two girls headed into the shoe store while Izuku went to the bathroom, before making them promise that they wouldn't do anything too hasty. Sadly, they were not the only ones in the mall. Amongst the crowd was Metropolis High's resident troublemaker and source of the Titans' social problems, Leslie. She had decided to spice up her posts a little more, but everyone in the mall looked extremely happy to just be. No one was making a fool of themselves or doing anything she could exploit. That was until she spotted an elevator going up and down. That ought to do it, said Leslie as her hand was covered in electricity. Izuku had just gotten out of the bathroom when he heard screams. Before him was the mall's elevator going up and down at dangerous speeds. Without a second thought, he suited up before going to the elevator in the hopes of stopping it before someone could get hurt. The elevator cables snapped by the constant friction on the lines. The elevator was going down at top speeds, and it would not stop in time. Izuku noticed the cables had been broken and began formulating a plan. The back of the elevator was metallic as well as the bottom, which led Izuku to believe that he could create a strong enough current of air to slow it down. He pulled both of his arms forward and prepared his attack with one for all. Double Delaware, smash! Izuku called, sending two powerful blasts of air into the base of the elevator. The two blasts of air collided with the elevator, slowing down its descent considerably. This gave Izuku the time to jump at the elevator and bring it down slowly for the people inside. Once he was close enough to the ground, Deku dropped the elevator before helping the people inside get out. "Don't worry, because I'm here," Deku said, getting cheers and thanks from the people around him. Everyone was happy, except for Leslie. Her work had been ruined by the Green Titan, and her arcing electricity was proof of her disdain. "Hey, what's the big idea? You ruined my shot, Green Bean!" called out Leslie as she made her way through the crowd of people. "Excuse me," replied Izuku, looking at her. "Where do you get off ruining my fun?" asked Leslie, poking Deku's chest. "Do you know how many likes that would have gotten me?" she said, showing him her screen name. Deku's eyes widened at the name before him. This girl was the same Livewire Shocker 299 that had been making his and his friends' lives miserable for the last couple of days. But that wasn't important right now. "Wait, you're the one responsible for this? That wasn't fun, that was dangerous," Deku called back. "Those people could have gotten hurt or worse." "Says who?" asked Leslie mockingly. "Anyone here," replied Deku, with everyone around him agreeing with him. "These jokes of yours are over." Everyone turned against Leslie, wanting nothing but to send her to the cops. Mall security arrived at the scene, ready to kick her out. "All right, young lady, hand over the phone and come with us," said one of the officers. Leslie had had enough. People loved her, and now because of this hero everyone hated her, almost like she was some sort of villain. "Fine, you want to make me the bad girl? I'll be the baddest of them all," called out Leslie as her skin turned blue and lightning crackled around her. "Everyone get back!" Deku screamed before Leslie could do her thing. Leslie sent out a powerful blast of electricity, pushing everyone away from her. Her mohawk now stood up, blue as the rest of her body. She now wore a black one-piece suit with long spiky shoulders, and a blue lightning bolt running down her chest. Her boots were black, and reached up to her thighs. "All right, losers, say hello to Livewire, the new greatest villain this city has ever known. And I'll start by teaching Goody Two-Shoes here a lesson," said Livewire as electricity gathered around her fists. Deku, for his part, slowly got back up, ready to face the new villain. Back up in the shoe store, Diana and Kara were both looking at the same pair of shoes, but couldn't help but glare at each other. They both slowly reached for them, only to go back and then try again. "Why are you grabbing these shoes? They're not your style," asked Kara as she and Diana were in a tug of war with the shoes. "I'm only looking at them." "Why are you planning to take them?" asked Diana in the struggle. "What are you talking about? If anyone is the kind to take stuff, is you," Kara snapped back. "He's mine," the two girls called out, throwing away the shoes. "He's been living with me since he arrived," Kara said. "I've spent months training and learning with him. Izuku's basically my only man friend," Diana retorted. "He can always keep up with me, even when I'm mean to him," said Kara. "He cares for everyone, even if it hurts him," Diana said, realizing what they were doing. At that moment the two girls began to realize that they share the same feelings. "He always makes me feel like a lady, no matter how irritating it makes me feel," added Kara. "He also puts up a smile to help others feel better." "What are we doing, Kara?" asked Diana, feeling slightly ashamed of her behavior. "I guess those posts got to us, but not out of nowhere." "Diana, listen, I think I may love too Izuku," said Kara, blushing. "I believe I love him as well. I guess it affects us more since we've made love with him," Diana admitted, causing Kara's eyes to snap open. "Wait, what?" Kara called out before an explosion could be heard from outside. The two women exited the store and saw that everything was in chaos on the floor levels. Izuku was down there fighting an electric villain that was using the electrical ports to move around the floor with almost instant transmission. Livewire had been electrocuting Deku for the last few minutes. As soon as he implemented a different strategy, she went for the civilians. Deku, of course being the hero, jumped in front of the attacks or tried to move them out of the way, which of course ended with him being shocked most of the time. Livewire then zoomed from one electric outlet to another, punching and kicking Deku. "This is like punching fish in a barrel," said Livewire before she sent another volt at Deku. Deku managed to jump out of the way on time, but being constantly shocked was beginning to take its toll on him. Seeing that their love was being hurt, both Diana and Kara suited up and set their conflict aside. Back down on the ground, Livewire was ready to take out the Titan. "Say night-night, hero," said Livewire before she felt two taps on her shoulders. She turned around and saw two very angry superheroines. "So, more super dorks want in on?" Leslie was cut off by two fists colliding with her face. Wonder Woman and Supergirl were not in the mood for games. With a combined titanic punch, they sent Livewire flying through the sky and into the ocean. The deep plunge in the ocean caused the electric supervillain to short out. Leslie could only float as her face had both fist prints on it. Back in the mall, both Wonder Woman and Supergirl were dusting off their hands. "No one hurts our man and comes out pain-free," Kara stated. "Our man?" asked Diana teasingly, causing Kara to blush. They then hurried to help Izuku to his feet. His bruised and slightly charred body and costume showed just how much he had to put up with. "Are you alright, Deku?" asked Diana as she placed his left arm over her shoulder. "Yeah, I'm alright. Just glad you two aren't fighting anymore," Deku answered. "Yeah, about that, we're going to have a long talk between the three of us," Mr. Casanova said Kara, causing Izuku to blush as he figured that Kara and Diana had figured it out before the three of them headed to their secret lair. Izuku was currently bowing down on his hands and knees after being patched up. He was looking straight to the ground as he felt he didn't deserve looking at the two women before him. "I'm so sorry I didn't tell you guys that I slept with the two of you, but I thought that it would be best if I kept it private. I will completely understand if you two don't wish to speak to me anymore," Izuku said, pulling back the tears. Both Diana and Kara were looking at him, but not with eyes of anger or disappointment. If anything, it looked like Kara was enjoying the sight. "Wow. I think this is the first time in history a guy regrets having sex with two women before he's 30, Kara laughed, while trying to appear mad. "It is true that you should have mentioned it to us. But again, considering that no clear relationship was established, you are not at fault in that regard, Izuku," Diana admitted. Izuku slowly lifted his gaze at the two women before him. "Besides, it is kinda hard to stay mad at that cinnamon roll face of yours," Kara admitted offhandedly. Diana and Kara pulled Izuku back to his feet, as tears of joy swelled up in his face. "See, that's what I'm talking about. You are like a bunny I just want to snuggle and mess around with," Kara added. "Thanks guys for still wanting to be my friends. But I gotta ask, how did you guys found out?" asked Izuku. "Yeah, how did you figured it out, Diana?" Kara asked, turning to the Amazon. "After the weekend of your injury, I saw that you carried yourself with a brighter glow and happiness in your step. Much like how I felt when Izuku and I made love back on Themyscira," said Diana. "Please tell me that the whole Festival of Hercules was not some ruse to just do that," Kara begged. "Of course not, we went there for the festival and then after a battle against the vile witch Circe we shared the same bed," said Diana with honesty. Alright, I get the picture. So what do we do now?" asked Kara with a sigh. "You guys are both amazing and I can't see myself dating either of you without hurting the other. You two should decide," said Izuku. "Then there is only one course we can take," Diana began. "Sorry Greenie, maybe we can try another time," said Kara, getting ahead of herself. "Actually, that isn't what I was about to suggest. I suggest that we must share Izuku," Diana finished, causing both Izuku and Kara to look at her wide-eyed. Diana, are you sure about that decision? Asked Izuku. Why yes. I am sure about it, said Diana. But, isn't it a bit weird or anything? I mean, I'm a woman too, you know? Asked Kara. Kara, Amazons are taught from a very early age that love is in everything and everyone. You must feel as much love for others as you would for yourself, said Diana, placing a hand on both Izuku and Kara's shoulders. Many of my sisters told me stories of how they fell in love with noble warriors and with fellow Amazons. Love is love no matter what form it takes, she said before kissing both Izuku and Kara on the lips and causing them to blush. Diana brought them into a strong bear hug to which they replied. Izuku and Kara shared a glance before she spoke. I guess this is really happening then. So, I call first dibs in sleeping with Greenie, said Kara with a chilled shrug. Crime had been on a pretty low level the last couple of days for the Teen Titans. A couple of muggings here, a couple of bank heists there. But no supervillains had made their appearance in hopes of taking down the superhero team. Even Superman hadn't been seen that often. The team was currently on patrol through the city, but the mood of the team was fairly similar. The monotony of the patrol was broken by the indiscriminate noise of the average teenager. I'm bored, Batgirl said as she dropped down to the rooftop of a building. Bored too, Supergirl responded, feeling the same way. Same, Green Lantern Jessica admitted as the rest of the team gathered around on the rooftop. We haven't had any problems for some time now, said Izuku as even he himself hoped for something interesting to happen. Normally a quiet night such as this one would be cause for merriment, but it has been like this all week, said Diana. I could use some excitement tonight. My magic show has been rather slow as of late, Zatanna added while doing her makeup with her compact. Just one thing tonight please, Kara asked for to no one in particular. Just then an alarm echoed down on the street below the heroes. They all turned to the source of the alarm and jumped to the street without a second thought. The night was no longer boring for them. Halt criminal, or you shall face the Teen Titans, Diana said as the team prepared for a fight. Yeah, no one steals, Batgirl began before they all saw what place was being stolen from. From a toy and prank store? Karen asked, confused as the rest of the team. Who would steal from a toy store? Asked Deku as something moved around in the darkness of the store. Just then a figure busted out of the store and landed before the heroes. The figure was a woman that wore a red and black harlequin suit with a white neck and wrist puffs, and 2 pigtails on top of her head. She wore white makeup and a black domino mask. Ha! So the Teen Titans are here to stop their greatest arch-nemesis ever? The Clown Princess of Crime. Harley Quinn. Harley laughed as most of the heroes just exchanged looks between themselves. Barbara on the other hand looked at Harley almost as if she was Darkseid himself. Harley, you fiend! Whatever you're after, we shall stop you, said Batgirl ready for a fight. Yeah, I guess, Supergirl replied with a shrug. Well, you'll never take me alive, coppers. Harley laughed as she made her escape from the store. The Titans took on their pursuit against the clown-themed villain as she made her escape with a bag full of what they assumed was money. Each Titan already thinking of what to do in order to stop her. Green Lantern created a tall fence construct in front of Harley, but she took out a pogo stick and jumped high over it. But this left her open for Supergirl and Zatanna to block her in the air. Harley pulled a small wrapped gift box and threw it at the 2 girls before it blew up into a cloud of strawberry smoke. Strawberry? Really? Coughed Supergirl in slight annoyance. Harley, for her part, landed on a rooftop and continued running, but then she was cut off by Bumblebee flying in circles around her face. Bumblebee pulled out her stingers and began hitting Harley with them. The clown girl then pulled a small spray can and began spraying at Bumblebee, causing her to cough. Harley laughed as she pulled out a stick with a harlequin face on it. She pressed a button, and it fired like a grappling hook. She flew towards another building, but her flight was cut short as Wonder Woman stood in her way. Beside Wonder Woman stood Deku and Batgirl as the Amazon caught Harley by the scruff of her suit. Deku grabbed the bag with that she stole and the rest of the Titans caught up. The game is up, Harley, said Wonder Woman fiercely. What did you steal anyways? Asked Batgirl as Deku took a look at the loot. Deku opened the bag expecting the cash from the register, but instead he found something else. Chew toys? Deku asked as he pulled out a rubber bone, giving it a squeeze and causing it to squeak. Yeah, they're my baby's new toys, said Harley like it was no big deal. What kind of a child would ever need toys to chew? Wonder Woman asked as she looked at Harley. These ones! Babies! Harley screamed. The Titans heard a couple of laughing growls behind them. They turned around and saw a pair of hyenas with painted mohawks and red collars. One had a green mohawk and the other one had a purple mohawk. Deku looked at the chew toy in his hand and realized his mistake. "Oh no," Deku said before the hyenas jumped him and his team. The two large animals pounced on the team of superheroes, forcing Wonder Woman to drop Harley Quinn. The two hyenas began biting and scratching the 17s as they tried to keep them away from any of their vital points. A large dust cloud was created as the Titans fought against the hopefully not rabid animals. After a good 5-minute struggle, the hyenas escaped with their master and the loot, leaving the team with bite marks and scratches all over their costumes. "Bye-bye heroes, we should do this again some other time," said Harley, laughing before turning to leave. Batgirl, for her part, used this chance to throw one of her new bat tracers on Harley's butt just as she turned around. "The game's afoot, Quinn," said Batgirl very seriously. A short while later, the Teen Titans had returned to their base to nurse their injuries. Thankfully, none of them had traces of any diseases according to Jessica's ring and Zatanna's magic. "I still can't believe a clown and her pets beat us," Kara said angrily as Izuku finished putting on a band-aid on her face. "It is true. So far we've never faced anyone who would use such dirty and underhanded tactics that appear like childish pranks. We've grown accustomed to villains always taking things seriously," Diana said before punching her left palm with her fist. "If you suggest going to clown school, I'm going to have to say no," Zatanna said, cleaning her hair from any hyena saliva. "We could try to expect the unexpected. Even if she appears to be making jokes, she's still smart enough to come up with surprises. She would of course had something in mind to take on us respectively, and as such must have several gadgets to aid in her escape." Izuku began mumbling before Karen and Jessica poked him to stop. "We understand, Izuku, but we still need to know more about this criminal," Jessica said. "Since she told us her name, we can use that to find more information," Karen suggested. "Her name is Harley Quinn, also known as the Clown Princess of Crime, also known as the Laughing Vixen, also known as Joker's right-hand girl," said Barbara, getting the attention of everyone else. They all turned and saw Barbara putting in numbers and looking up information on their computer. On the screen, there were several pictures and articles about the villainess that the team had just fought. Most of them showed her committing pranks and crimes with what appeared to be common comedy stuff, sometimes alone, and sometimes with the Clown Prince himself. Most of her sightings have been in Gotham over the last couple of years, most of which have been with the Joker. But regardless of where she is, one thing is certain, she's been able to avoid any form of police arrest," Barbara recounted, as the team noted her usual cheeriness had been changed by a more serious stance on the matter. "She's also my archenemy. This is most impressive, Barbara. With this information we'll be able to stop her next crime, and be prepared for it," said Diana excitedly. "Yeah. Or we can just follow the tracer I put on her when she was about to leave," said Barbara, pointing to the screen as a smiling bat insignia beeped on the screen. "Or we could do that," said Diana, surprised. Izuku, for his part, looked at the map on the screen and noticed where Harley was going. "She seems to be heading to the botanical garden. Why would she go there?" asked Izuku as he began to think. "Maybe that's her hideout?" Jessica suggested. "Not likely, but perhaps she's planning to steal something else," Barbara replied before suiting up. "Titans together!" The rest of the team just looked at her with raised eyebrows, but not before long Izuku spoke out. "Oh, is that our team's combat call?" Izuku surmised. "Yeah, don't you guys like it?" Batgirl asked. "No, it's alright, great actually," replied Izuku. "Alright then. Titans together." Batgirl summoned once more. The Titans quickly made their way to the botanical garden of Metropolis, in hopes of capturing the elusive clown. The team spotted the entrance of the garden to have been broken and busted in. They entered the garden, and began searching for Harley and her furry accomplices. "Alright team, we should split up and search for her." "Be prepared for anything," said Wonder Woman. "Or we could just follow the tracks that they left for us," Supergirl suggested, pointing to the 3 sets of footprints on the ground. "She clearly doesn't care much about covering her tracks, does she?" asked Zatanna. "Doesn't appear to be so," Deku replied. The team followed the footprints until they came across a small area where several potted plants were being displayed. Harley Quinn stood there before them with her pets by her side. Without making any noise, they drew closer to the clown woman as she looked over the different plants. "Freeze, Quinn," called Batgirl, causing the clown and the hyenas to turn and face the heroes. "We have you surrounded," said Wonder Woman. Well, 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 if it isn't the teen toddlers. Here for another spanking?" Harley asked, laughing. "Yeah, and here's the paddle." replied Supergirl as her eyes turned bright red before firing at the clown. Harley cartwheeled out of the way before snatching a potted plant. She then pulled out a small black box with the words, "Ha ha ha," inscribed all over it and threw it to the ground. A large cloud of green gas began filling the room as Harley left the exhibition. "Low-level Joker gas, don't breath it," said Batgirl, pulling over her cape to cover her mouth. "I got this," Green Lantern replied before creating a vacuum cleaner construct and sucking in any and all traces of the gas. In a matter of seconds, the room was now left clear of the vicious laughing gas. "After her," Wonder Woman ordered before the team raced after the clown woman. Harley Quinn laughed as she believed to have gotten out scot-free from her second run-in with the heroes, but she was sadly going to get a rude awakening. As she looked back to make sure she had lost the heroes, Harley failed to see Zatanna appearing in a puff of purple smoke along with her team. Once Harley turned around, she found herself cornered by the heroes. "Game's up, Quinn," Deku said as One for All crackled around his body. "Oh really?" Harley asked before whistling to her pets. "Snack time, boys." This time, however, the Titans were ready for the vicious hyenas' attack. Deku began by grabbing hold of one end of Diana's lasso of truth and speeding through the two African predators using his quirk. He then tied them together by their collars before Jessica created a pair of muzzles for the little beasts. Diana pulled on her lasso and brought the two animals to heel with a powerful tug. "Heel, beasts," Wonder Woman said sternly, causing the hyenas to yelp in fear. "Hey, no fair! I don't go around thrashing your baby!" Harley snapped, pointing at Deku, who flinched at that comment. Just then Harley found herself surrounded by Supergirl, Zatanna, Bumblebee, and Batgirl. Before the clown girl could escape, they all tackled her into the ground with Batgirl putting the cuffs on her. Supergirl lifted Harley by the back of her costume with her struggling to get free. "Looks like the jester is down for the count," said Zatanna. "Now, to see what she was trying to steal," Batgirl said, pulling out the potted plant. "That appears to be a common red orchid. Not very special," said Bumblebee, looking at the orchid. "So, you break into the garden and steal a houseplant? Why?" asked Supergirl. Just then Zatanna noticed something sticking out of Harley's pocket and snatched it before reading what was in it. "Hey, that's mine!" Harley snapped while Zatanna began reading the paper. "Harley, remember to buy popcorn, toilet paper, lettuce, chew toys for your pets and fertilizer for my plants. As well as reimburse me for my little red orchid that your animals destroyed. Signed, Ivy." Zatanna finished reading. "Roommates, am I right?" Harley asked, to no one in particular. "Wait, that's her shopping list?" asked Deku, looking at the list. "It appears to be so. But who could this Ivy be?" Batgirl asked before something lit up in her mind. "Oh no, you don't mean Poison Ivy," called a voice from behind the group. The team turned to see the plants come to life. They grew large into monstrous figures, and on top of a large Venus flytrap stood a woman. Every aspect of the newly arrived woman oozed wild sexuality. She had long red hair that reached past her waist, slightly greenish skin, and a curvy figure that showed off her breasts and hips. She wore a leafy-based one-piece suit that stopped past her breasts and had no legs. She also wore green-heeled boots, and green gloves that reached to her elbows. "Now, which one of you will be the first to suffer for this attack on Mother Nature?" Poison Ivy called out. The heroes looked around at the mess in the garden before Supergirl pointed to Harley. "She broke in here first," Supergirl said as the clown woman waved at her roommate. Poison Ivy let out a tired sigh before calling out her plans to attack the heroes. The large plant tendrils charged at the Titans, forcing them to jump back in retreat. Wonder Woman pulled back her lasso and then called for her team to attack the plant creatures. "Titans, together!" Wonder Woman called out to her teammates. Deku and Supergirl were the first to go in alongside Wonder Woman. Deku swung his legs at the tendrils, tearing them apart with his kicks. "St. Louis! Smash!" Deku screamed as he used his kicks on the large vines that attempted to crush him. Supergirl joined in with her heat vision, slicing apart the plants that tried to swallow her. Wonder Woman used her fists to keep any and all toothy plants from eating her. Shortly behind them were the rest of the team as they fought to reach the plant-themed villain. Batgirl fired her grappling hook and flew high into the air before throwing down some batarangs, slicing off the plant creatures. Green Lantern used her ring to create a weed whacker to cut a path through the garden. Zatanna used her magic to make the plants wither away from her teammates. "Reitu Yawa Snelp, DNA Tanad Kakata." Zatanna chanted as the vines that tried to restrain her dried out. Bumblebee fired her stingers at the carnivorous plants that tried to take a bite out of her. All these acts of violence against plant life angered Poison Ivy to new degrees. She called upon the powers of the plant life around her, but soon found out that they wouldn't be enough. She then caught a glance at Deku and a sinister idea popped into her mind. "I may not prefer mammals, but you'll certainly be an exception," said Ivy before she sent some vines after Deku. Deku had just finished punching a giant lily flower when he felt his foot being tugged from underneath him. He was then pulled from the battlefield before being flung into the air and caught again. Deku then found himself face to face with Ivy, who wasted no time in landing a dark green lip kiss on his cheek. This action did not go unnoticed by the rest of the team, and they were all furious. Deku for his part could feel his resistance leaving him. He felt like a puppet on a string with only Ivy to tell him what to do. "Now my manservant, destroy the interlopers," Ivy ordered, causing Deku's eyes to turn lime green. Deku could not control his actions, as his body moved on its own. With his body no longer under his control, Deku's limiter on the power of his quirk had gone away. Deku slammed down a punch to the ground, scattering the rest of the Titans. The wave of the attack was so powerful that the entire garden, and several blocks, was shaken by its strength. Deku rose from the hole, and his arm looked like it had been through an oven. The remaining Titans stared in shock at the sheer power that their teammate had been holding on to. "Wow, Greenie just needs some muscles to wield that much power," Supergirl asked, feeling slightly turned on by the sight. "We must stop him before he hurts himself anymore," said Diana as she looked at the villainous Poison Ivy in pure anger. "And take down that weed of a woman. I'm up for kicking her butt, but how do we stop Deku?" Supergirl asked just as Izuku was getting out of the crater he had made. "I have an idea, but we have to hold him down long enough for it to work," Zatanna said, as she hovered with magic towards Deku. "Supergirl, you and I will restrain Deku so that Zatanna can do her thing," Wonder Woman ordered. "Green Lantern, Batgirl and Bumblebee will take care of Poison Ivy." With everyone on their respective jobs, the Titans went to work. Wonder Woman and Supergirl went at top speeds, tackling Deku just as he was about to charge at them. The clash between the three created another shockwave. Wonder Woman held onto Deku's left arm and pressed her knee behind his own, making him bow. Supergirl, for her part, wrapped her arms around Deku from behind to keep him from moving. They struggled to keep Deku in place while leaving him unharmed. "Z, whatever you're planning, do it now!" Supergirl called out as she held onto her love along with Diana. Zatanna, as on key, dropped from above and clasped both of her hands on Izuku's face. "Nuder o tirui sesnes DNA le ina stinuo htu siit sick," Zatanna chanted before kissing Izuku square on the lips. This action caused both Wonder Woman and Supergirl's eyes to almost pop out of their sockets, as it looked like Zatanna was enjoying herself a little bit too much. The kiss was not a small peck on the lips, it was the kind of kiss that makes people's hearts melt. A kiss that only lovers share. The kind of kiss that both Diana and Kara had given Izuku. As the kiss went on, Deku was encased in a pinkish-purple aura. His previously mangled arm was put back in place with nothing but a scratch on it. The rest of his wounds were mended, and his mind was cleared from any pheromones that had made him Poison Ivy's slave. Deku's eyes turned back to their usual green color as Zatanna finished their kiss. "Tell me, darling, was it as good for you as it was for me?" asked Zatanna, giving dazed Deku bedroom eyes. Izuku's mind quickly caught up with his body and turned as red as a tomato before he felt two presences behind him. He turned around and saw both Wonder Woman and Supergirl, glaring directly at Zatanna. They were clearly not amused in the slightest. Back with Poison Ivy, she was laughing her butt off at the exchange between the heroes. "Oh, I just love it when mammals fight over mates. It is so funny," said Ivy. "Oh, we bet," replied Green Lantern as she, Batgirl and Bumblebee floated behind her. Poison Ivy tried to flee, but Bumblebee stung her with her stingers. Batgirl unleashed a spray can of weed killer on Ivy's plants, causing them to dry up. And all that plus Jessica scooping her up with a large net where Harley and her hyenas were kept. "Ah, don't worry, Red. At least we had one heck of a night," said Harley as she looked at Supergirl and Wonder Woman discussing with Zatanna about her actions, while Izuku laid down on the floor passed out. "Yeah, I guess. Please tell me you got the popcorn," said Poison Ivy looking at Harley. "Oh shoot, I knew I forgot something," Harley replied, causing Ivy to sigh. "And guys, this is the end. I hope you guys enjoyed. Well, until next time, peace."